If you make dance music, then I'm going to show you a starter preset that I've put together on the FabFilter Pro Q4. Now, I've been mastering for 30 years for some of the world's leading artists, and a lot of those are dance-based. I've got a lot of experience in that world, so I wanted to put together a preset that showed all the different elements of the frequency range, and then I'm going to go through each one and explain why you should use them, when you should use them, and how you should use them. But don't use them all at the same time. You can if you want, but it's probably overkill. These are just for problem areas that you'll get or things you want to highlight when you're mastering a track or when you've got it on your mix bus. So I'll stop rabbiting and let me show you what I've got. So I've got a track which has got loads of bass on. Let me just play you that. So there you go, quite a generic house tune. So what I want to do, first of all, I'm just going to show you, if I had something that's quite wide in the low end, I'll do this a lot, and you'll see people do it with a mono maker and things like that. I like to do it with an EQ because you have so much more control. So this first EQ setting is where I've got it about 80 Hertz, and it's a low cut, and it's in the sides only. So you select that by going stereo placement in the sides, and then I put it around 80 Hertz. But again, with all of these EQ settings, use your ear to judge what sounds best. But what this is essentially doing is cutting all the frequencies from the side information, essentially keeping everything that's in the middle. On most dance tracks, most basses are centrally located. So everything that's on the outside is going to get removed and everything on the inside is staying. So this will just make it cleaner in the low end, tighter, and if you're going to vinyl, it means that it'll be able to cut better. But it always sounds nice on dance music when you have the low end nice and tight. So the way I like to do that is by cutting these, and then you can select the frequency you want. You can change the slope of it. So that's a really easy one. So that's the starter there. So I'm going to start the rest of the EQ because the way that I listen to tracks is I listen from the bottom to the top. So I always try and get the low end right, because then I find I don't have to do as much in the top end. And it sounds cheap when you do loads of top end EQ. So it sounds classier when you get the low end right and the low mids right, and you get all the feeling there, you get the control, and then the top end can kind of just have a little bit of fairy dust on it rather than just cranking it right up and getting it really bright and thin and forgetting about the low end. So starting in the bass, if I've got something that's really boomy, so the way to see this is when you play the track, on the back of the FabFilter, and you could use a span for this as well, but you'll see you've got a load of build-up in the very, very low end. And when I say low end, we're talking 20 Hertz and below. A lot of speakers won't play this back. Club speakers will, but you still want it under control. So you don't want it like masses of low end going on here. So what I like to do here, I don't do another cut. I'm going to just do a 20 Hertz like low shelf like that. So you can see on here how that works. And sometimes with this, you can change the Q on it so that it can give you a little bit of a boost. So because you're cutting in this sort of low area, you're scooping a bit out, which makes it sound really tight. Because what happens is, if you've got other plugins working after this, then this control of the low end is going to affect how they work. So sometimes compressors and things like that come further down the line will actually sound better and tighter and punchier from just doing this little cut in the low end. So sometimes try this, listen to how everything else is sounding, but I like to do a little Q where it pushes up because then it gives me a little kick up here because I've got 1 dB on here. So it gives me another half a dB at around 40 Hertz, something like that, which is quite cool. But to check whether you need it, just play the track. So that sounds nicer. It's cleaned up that low end a little bit, taken away some of the energy in the low end, because the energy is what's going to push into your limiter later. So by removing and controlling a bit of that low end, the limiter is going to be able to go louder, which is obviously what most people want. So the next thing, if I'm doing the bass, is I'm going to just show you if I was to add some kick. So if I just wanted the kick to punch a little bit more, around 60 hertz, I would use a dynamic EQ. So I would put it in dynamic mode, which I've done. I would leave it as is, but I would leave it so that I'm pulling the dynamic up to about +2. So every time the kick hits, then it's going to push the dynamic EQ up. So let me show you that in action, so that it's only working when it's there, so it's not bringing up a load of sort of low-end stuff when it's not there. If you were to do it with a standard EQ where you just lift the band up, just leave it there, let it be dynamic. So you can see here how that's working. It's giving it a little bit more of a thump. You can just move that around until you hear the kick, but you can see it most of the time with the spectrum analyzer that's working behind on the FabFilter. So sometimes you'll get tracks that sound a little bit muddy in the lows, and that's usually around a build-up after the kick and the low end. It's just before we get to the really proper, thicker low mids. So there's a trick you may have seen me do before if you follow me, about 160 hertz, and it's in dynamic mode again. I like dynamic mode for a lot of EQs these days, and it's a 160 dip. Now you'll see that this is on quite a tight cue, because when you're mastering, you want to do tight cuts and broad boosts. The reason for that being, if you cut too much out when you're at mastering stage, there's a lot of stuff going on in that area, and you'll just remove loads of things that you might not want to, where here we just want to remove a little slither of, muddiness. So let's hear how this sounds. This can be great on loads of stuff. I've got it in dynamic mode, but I'm just bringing it down by about half a dB, just so that it's there all the time, but then it can also duck down if it needs to. So let's hear that in and out. You can hear how that makes the low end sort of just cuts a little bit of space, which is nice. But if I'm doing that, I like to add a little bit more back. So this is a EQ setting that I stole from someone years ago, and it's another boost, obviously, so that we're going a bit wider with the Q. I like this one because in the low mids, it's where you get all the feeling and all the sort of weight in the low mids. So around 240, just lift it a little bit so it's there all the time, but again in dynamic mode, so that it's, coming in a bit more if it needs to. So let's listen to how this plays when you've got this on as well. You can hear that adds a little bit more weight. Now, I know I said don't put them all on, but I'm just for this demonstration, I'm just showing you, I'm just going to leave them all on so you can hear them all working against each other. So now we've kind of sorted out the low end and done a nice bit of EQ there. We've monoed it. We've got a nice little bit of control on the bottom. We've got the kick pumping when it needs to. We've cleaned it up a little bit, and we've added a little bit of weight to the low mids. So now is another little trick that I use a lot, and it sounds really nice. And what it is, around 1.7K, only about a dB you want here because it's really powerful. And it's a shelf going all the way up from, as you can see, because I use the Q, it usually starts like that, but I like to spread it out so it's a smoother curve. And that's sort of starting around 500 and then going all the way up to the top. It's just a shelf, but it's on the mid band only. So in the stereo placement, go to mid band. And what this does, it just brings all the focus point in the middle and makes the track much more present. So this can sound really good if you've got any vocals in there or anything that's in the mid only, so in the center, and it just lifts it up a touch. It's just really subtle, but it works really nicely. Let me show you on this. This is more for sort of directing your brain so that it makes it more focused on the middle rather than the wide stuff, because a lot of dance music has a lot of wide stereo things going on. And so this just brings back that focus and makes it a little bit more present. As I said earlier, I'm going to keep repeating myself. Don't use all of these all of the time, but that little one there is quite nice for just doing a nice, just changing the mix a bit and bringing it out a bit more. So the next one I'm going to show you on the Pro Q4 is cool because it takes away, you have a lot of sort of edgy sibilance going on with a lot of dance music. So you can use this at around 5 to 8K if it's a vocal, but you can also use this setting higher up if you've got really edgy cymbals. This sounds nice. And what it is, it's a cut, but I'm going wide on this because I'm going against my rule, but it's because we're in spectral mode. And what spectral mode does, it's just doing all the frequencies within a section. So it's like if you've used Soothe, it's like that, where it's like an automatic EQ. So as it hears the spiky stuff that you don't want, it will just remove all of those. So I'll show you that in action so you can understand exactly what I mean. So this is really good for getting rid of those really nasty bits in the top end that make it sound really edgy, where you want it to sound nice and smooth and posh sounding, because we all want nice posh sounding masters. So that's brilliant around there. You can move that around, just use your ears again to see what that's doing. So then my final setting, which is always a winner as well, is one that's just in the sides. So I select the stereo placement for the sides. This is around 8K, 10K, something like that. And what this is doing is just bringing the sides out. So where we've collapsed the low end so that it's in mono, I'm opening up the tops. So this is kind of like doing a tulip bell shape. This is all to do with stereo width. And it's a really nice way of doing it because I have it in dynamic mode so that it only comes in when there's things there. It's not just bringing up loads of noise and sort of air that's there. It's just happening when you've got instruments playing in the sides, but it's just bringing them out a bit more. And it gives a really nice load of movement to the top end rather than it being really stagnant. So you have this really tight low end and you have this really open, bouncy top end. So let me play you that. And what you can do with this, if you want the track to sound a little bit more wider at the top, you can actually just bring this up. So you're literally lifting the level of the sides at the same time. So if there is stuff there all the time, they'll come a bit louder and the track will sound wider at the top. So let me just play this for you so you can hear. So that in combination with that 1.7K lift in the middle, you have this lift coming up and then you've got this separation happening at the top. So that really makes your tops work and you haven't had to add much EQ to the tops to get them to sound really nice. So if you make dance music, you can grab this preset from a link that's in the description below. As I say, don't use all the settings all the time, but they might come in helpful when you want to get your track sounding tight in the lows, open in the tops, and you've got some really bad sizzly stuff going on in the top end. So if this has tickled your fancy and you want to learn exactly how to master and master the way that I do, then you want my 7-day mastering accelerator. I go through a system that I use every day to master records. I show you how to EQ, I show you how to use compressors. I go through loads and loads of tracks, mastering them from start to finish. You'll have everything you need in there so that you can make your track sound really good and really loud, but really clear and dynamic, which is what we all want. So there's also a link in the description for that as well. But this next video is going to show you a massive mistake that people do using reverb and what to do instead. So thanks for watching. Watch that one. I'll see you next time. Bye.